What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream where we're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, the blueprints, gameplay ability system, plugin, all that good stuff. So, Mikumar, welcome to the stream. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. I'm glad to hear you're learning Unreal, you're learning blueprints. Programmer from Poland. I'm American, but I'm living in Poland, so we have that much in common. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Come in and hang out. If you're inclined to, you can also feel free to join our Discord. You can always ask questions and follow up on associated channels in that Discord if you wish, if we don't get to all the questions today. And you lived in the USA? Awesome. Looks like we're the same person. So today, we're not going to be highly focused in editor. I kind of want to break down the design of the active cards. The active ability cards, active cards, how I want leveling to work, how I don't know if we want stacking anymore. I'm not sure how we want those to work. So before we kind of push forward in the implementation side of things, I want to take a step back and just look at the design of the stuff again. So for those new, we have cards that we could play in our game, right? We're trying to do a combination of deck building, card-based mechanics with real-time action kind of gameplay. So right now we're working with one type of card, just for the sake of an example, but we have a Fireball card. And so we have a level 2 Fireball, or is it, I get confused with the numbers because they're not really clear. So we either have a level 2 or a level 1 Fireball that costs either 2 or 1 card resource, and then we have a level 4 or a level 3. And based on the levels, the cards would be upgraded and evolve, and kind of change in the way they kind of behave, both on the actual active ability level and some of the properties of that ability. Like for instance, this Fireball at level 1 has just an instant one-time use, but at level 2 or 3, it has a duration for it. So you can reuse the Fireball multiple times within that given duration of time. So I think I'm running into maybe a couple of problems. One, I think having 5 levels is too much. I think it can work similarly, because like not all active cards might be leveled up. I think they should. Maybe they shouldn't all have 3 levels. Maybe they can work kind of like Pokemon, where some have only 2 evolutions in its line, others have 3, and then if we really want to introduce like quote-unquote mega evolution, maybe that's possible. Sorry, I got a kitty in front of me touching stuff on the keyboard. Lola. Thank you. So I kind of want to think about it a little bit more. And then do a refactor and clean up with what we kind of learn. Because again, what my concern potentially is that if you have a level 1 Fireball and a level 2 Fireball, I got some feedback from a friend, and I was telling him about the stacking that we can do, right? So, for example, you have this. Let me give myself 0 cost of card cost. If I slot in a level 4, and then I can activate it because it's a level 4, I have this duration. You'll see on the bottom left showing this duration bar, and as long as that bar is happening, I can kind of repetitively use that ability. And then this level 1 card, I can only activate once, right? It's one and done. But for example, if I slot in a level 4, and then I also slot in this level 1, because they're the same base card, I can then stack them into that slot. So you can see the number 2 appear on there. But because I slotted in, the cat's biting me. Because I slotted in the level 4 first, when I also slotted in the level 1, I then got 2 stacks of level 4 because that was the base that it worked off of. So now, if I activate, the first time I can activate the level 4 up until like the duration, and then the stack gets removed, but the ability isn't removed yet, and then I have a second kind of stack use of that ability, and then it goes away. And so when I was explaining that mechanic, it seemed potentially convoluted and confusing, at least on paper. And I could see how it could also be confusing in runtime, right? You're in like live combat, you're fighting, you're not really super paying attention to what you had slotted in first and kind of keeping track of those things. So, he made the suggestion or the thought of how Final Fantasy has like these tiers of spells. So you have Fire, Firaga, and I forget the three of them. But then that got me into thinking a lot about. Hold on, let me just show you the kitty. Here's the kitty who's getting in my face. Because again, one of the references for our game is Pokemon. In terms of the trading card game, in terms of like how the card rarities work and things like that. Not really based about the card game mechanics of Pokemon, but maybe we can take from it concepts of evolutions and maybe even mega evolutions of cards. So in that vein, a level 1 card is like the base evolution of a set. And then when you upgrade it, it then evolves, quote unquote. So you have a card that is the evolution of this original card. And then you have one that's a third evolution. And then that third evolution is the strongest and has like the highest properties and stuff like that. And then like how could it work? Like can you then stack the same kind? So if you have a level 1 slotted in and then you put in another level 1 of that card, does it then become 2 stacks of the level 1? Or does it like become a level 2 immediately within the slot? Like to me, hi, I can't understand your game idea. Well, that sucks. Trying to explain it. Try to keep things a little simple. So yeah, I'll try to explain again. So what the goal here is, what the gameplay loop is you'll be able to unlock cards and play cards and build and construct a deck from cards that have different purposes and can be slotted into different ability slots and passive slots and instant activation capabilities as well. And so we are working right now on the active abilities. So the 2 cards I have, there's a level 4 Fireball and a level 1 Fireball. And when I activate one, it would exude a cost. And then when you activate it, it gets slotted into that ability bar that you see on the bottom left. When it's slotted in, you can then activate it with a corded action, right bumper, and X on the Xbox controller. And then once it's used, it gets removed from that slot, and then you can activate another card that goes into that new slot. And so as you progress over time, you unlock more active ability slots so that you can activate more of these cards, slot them in, and then create different combinations of abilities when you activate them in tandem. But in addition to these active ability slots, I want to create what I'm calling passive ability slots as well. I could probably bring it up in Figma. And we have some references from other UIs and stuff like that. But when you have games, I forget the name of this game, but when you have games like MOBAs, or you have boons from what's the word? Hades 2. Then you have cards like Slay the Spire. These are some of our inspirations. But basically, the passive ability slots would work like boons, but they would also be temporary kind of slots. So here are some mock-ups that we were working with. So we're kind of working with this idea or this idea, this idea. And so you would basically have these passive slots as well, where you would unlock over time as you progress through the game. And then these passive slots would be just things that give you passive bonuses that would have certain durations to them, and then could also potentially stack as well. And so it could be things like movement speed increases, or fire damage is doubled, or those kinds of things. There could potentially also be passives that act upon actions. So like if you whenever you're hit, you deal, damage back to the enemy or something like that. Or when you hit somebody, it propagates passive damage alongside or something like that. So those would be like those passive abilities. So we have active abilities, passive abilities. And then I want there to be, in addition to this, what's the word? Like, cards that can boost instantaneously certain things. So you could play a card, you can play a card that reduces costs by half. Or you could do one that, say, we have this hold attack, right? So something that can increase the radius of it or something like that. Because I'm also figuring out what my kind of builder spender loops are. Because I want you to be able to, like, you can't immediately do this like hold attack, like I want you to like kind of build up some sort of charge for it, and then you can charge it, release it at the right time, and then do like a big payoff AoE damage. I'm also playing out with the idea of having like maybe weapon cards. So if you activate it like a bow weapon, your like secondary weapon will become a bow, and then you can activate that with like the Y button, and you have like a tap and hold variation, so you can kind of blend between melee and then the secondary weapon fire. So like the bow can have just a single tap for like shooting a single arrow, and then a hold one where you can kind of charge and rain arrows and stuff like that. And maybe then cards could play with that a little bit, where you can have active ability cards that make you shoot a rain of arrows or something like that. So still a lot to think about, still a lot to figure out, but I really want to be focusing on the cards right now, since I have some of the base systems working. Like I have a damage system, I have a melee distance, melee system with damage and motion warping and the traces and all that stuff. So the framework's there for a couple different things, but yeah, cards are my primary focus, so we know how they can work and how they can slot it in, how they can have potential synergies down the line. So that's what I want to just focus on today, is what these active ability cards can do, like whether they can be stacked on top of each other, what the max levels are. Because again, I don't even know if we should have up to 5 ability slots. Maybe it should just be 4. And then we can also have like blocking and stuff. Right now there's no animation to it, but so I'm also potentially thinking we just need 4 active ability slots. I feel like 5 is just too much. And then we also have like an evasive ability slot, so we could say, your evasive can change. So rather than it being always like a roll, it could be the fireball, for example, or maybe only passive stuff can work with the thing, so you don't actively change what it is. You just have a passive card that says, okay, when you roll, you can deal, knockback damage or something like that. Something to still also figure out. So I think for the sake of simplification, we should take a hatchet to some of the design. So for example, I think there needs to be 4 active ability slots. First and foremost, I think that decision will make things a little bit easier, be a little bit more controlled. You'll still have progression on like how many active ability slots you can have, because right now you see we only have 1 and the rest are kind of locked. And so you can have a progression layer of saying, either by leveling or by, in-game currencies, you collect coins, gems, experience, whatever you want to say, to level up certain things. So like the number of passive ability slots, the number of active ability slots available to you, the number of cards you can have in your deck, things like that. And then also unlock cards. You can like buy booster packs or whatever to unlock cards and stuff like that. So I'm also wondering where things like this is very clear, but the problem is that it will branch out into many things, branching out even more at every turn. Therefore, I suggest that it should initially have 3 effective steps, after which it can move to another stage. I'm not sure what you mean by effective steps and stages in this sense. But no, I'm willing to hear you out. Because again, the things I want to pull from Pokemon are the concepts of also like special illustration, rare versions of cards. So maybe card leveling doesn't make sense anymore. So for example, again, we have like Fireball level 1, 2, and 3, right? They would have different unique names in that case where and probably, unique icons and stuff like that. But what would an illustration rare look like and do, and what would be the point of trying to chase after it? Not sure. What I mean is, for example, fire can be used to damage an area, or it can be used for speed, or as a shield. After which you can move to another stage. So what I mean is, for example, fire can be used to damage an area, or it can be used for speed, or as a shield. I see what you mean. Maybe, yeah. Because I would like to see, like, for this fireball, maybe we also say, yeah, like any damage received while in the fireball state does something. Yeah, increases speed. Yeah, 3 and 1. Yeah, something to think about. Because like, yeah, how I was imagining like progression steps for the fireball, for example, right? Is one like level 1 can be just like the instant like fireball, right? It can deal, like right now it deals fire damage. So does this level 2. But basically the increase in level is, first it changes it from an instant ability to a duration based ability. So that could potentially be the speed layer that you're kind of referring to. But basically the progression layers after that point, so as you level up more and more, all that's really doing is increasing the duration and increasing the radius of the fireball. It'd be more interesting than that. But I do like the idea of like how the card would evolve. Like it should definitely like add more to it. And I think having 3 levels maximum makes it better, easier to keep cards interesting and hopefully reduce overlaps in functionalities. But I'm also kind of trying to think again, like how the card leveling would need to work. Like, do we want the player to be able to choose to level up a card, upgrade a card? In of itself? Or do we kind of remove the concept of leveling and just say, like, because the reason why I wanted to introduce leveling and things like that is just because I want the base card to be the same. Just the details of the card would augment, like, so they would share the same base ability. But at that point, like, the reason why I would also have them share the same ability is so that we could have that sort of stacking. But maybe at this point we would say, a level 2 fireball doesn't truly exist. It just becomes some other card. Let me see. I have the active ability integration. So yeah, active ability cards. I have an idea for my game that I'd like to suggest to you. You might like it. Every time you kill an enemy, you take their soul, and with that soul, you can upgrade each card, for example. Yeah, maybe. Like, it's tough to tell yet, just because I don't know exactly what my outer game loop is going to be. Like I guess minute to minute, hour to hour kind of thing. Because I want it to work pseudo like Slay the Spire or other roguelikes. You know, you kind of try to build your deck and go as far as you can, and then you kind of reset, and you can keep some of the cards in your next run and kind of construct the deck the next time, like a little bit differently, you know? So I don't think it needs to be more like every time you kill an enemy, you take the soul, and with that soul you take, you know, upgrade the card. But, I mean, the concept's the same, right? You earn some sort of currency and you use that currency to upgrade a card. Whether it's a soul of an enemy you killed or just XP or some other sort of collection aspect. But what I'm trying to think about is... I think, if I'm not mistaken... And I haven't played Slay the Spire 2, so don't judge me too harshly. But should have a... thought I had a link to Slay the Spire somewhere. It's Hades. Yeah, I want to play One Step from Eden 2. That has a lot of cards. I don't think this is it, is it? We can look at cards here. So you have these, there's different types of cards. There's colors, there's rarity, common, specials. And each card has like an upgraded variation. So you have Bash and Bash Plus, Defend, Defend Plus. So I wonder if there should be that sort of leveling. Yeah, again, like I like the idea of stacking, but it's just so confusing to understand which one you've slotted it in. If you want a link to this, there you go. And I'm not sure how they changed it from Slay the Spire 2. But yeah, so but they have a concept of just, you know, one upgrade. Or at least the first one. You know, some of them are pretty simple. It just really increases the damage or how much stacks of some sort of status effect it does. Tough to think about. I need to come to some decision here. So, what I do know for sure, 4 ability slots I think is plenty. But the card leveling is where I'm stuck. And maybe it's better to have because I feel like I'm just going to be ripping off Slay the Spire with this mechanic. But like the one option is, you have a Fireball card, and then you can have like a special illustration rare Fireball card, which is the upgraded version of Fireball that can do X, Y, and Z. Alternatively, again, you can have a level 1 Fireball, level 2 Fireball, level 3 Fireball with SIRs for each version of that. But then you wouldn't be able to stack the level 1, the level 2, the level 3 together in any sort of way, because they would have to be their own sort of card. Unless I can kind of hook them in together as like a card family to basically say that they're all hooked in. But again, how do we show it in the UI effectively, which one is slotted in? Because obviously, yes, they would all each have their own unique icon. But would we want to say like the same mechanic that we have in place right now, right? So you put a level 4 in, and then you put in a level 1 in, and then you get 2 stacks of the level 4. Or do we just say if it's a level, a level 3, it can only stack with other level 3s. And also, does it also potentially affect the cost? So if you slot in a level 4, or again, level 3, that has a certain cost to it, do then consecutive stackings become cheaper or free? I don't know. I'll write these questions out. Active ability cards, right? So, because I also had the idea of card rarities potentially, like secret rares, special illustration rares, stuff like that. But maybe that's not where I want to go. So yeah, sibling cards as well, but so active ability cards. Because again, I don't know if these concepts would, what's the word? Transcend just active ability cards. If similar concepts would be for passive cards, because I want passive cards to also be able to like stack in some way. But yeah, we need to start from somewhere. Also, I'm playing Nine Souls right now, and low-key, I'm getting my ass kicked. I forgot the name of the boss. I think it's Ethereal something. I don't think it's called Ethereal Lady, is it? Yeah, Lady Ethereal, not Ethereal Lady. She's kicking my ass. I'm getting to the 3rd phase, but dying. But yeah, let's think. Let's put some ideas to the page, right? So I would say I don't know what I would say. Each card has an available upgrade common to special illustration rare. This is how you put this next Fireball name and a picture of Fireball 1, 2, Fireball 3. Yeah, but I kind of, like, again, it's about more of like the icons and everything, how it gets slotted in, and like how do we know which one's already in? Do we have to have like the three within the icon itself that gets slotted in, or is there a better way of doing it? Similarly, you can, for example, evolve Firebolt number 1 by combining it with 2 Firebolt number 1s to create Firebolt number 2, Mambo number 5. I also had a similar thought like that. But again, I don't know. It's like basically the problem is, if the game was purely like, if it was turn-based with like your turn mainly focused on the manipulation of the cards and combining cards, that whole combination of two, putting cards together like that, would make more sense. But at runtime, me and another friend, we were considering whether or not you'd be able to like kind of pause the game and interact with the cards and manipulate the cards and do what you want, and then come back into the game, the game itself, and go from there. So maybe there's a space for that where you say you have, what's the word? Let me go into the player state. Say for example, you have the 3 level 1s, right, in your hand. Say there's a world where you're able to pause the game, go into some screen that just shows the cards, and then from there you can combine. So all 3 cards then become 1. So like Fireball level 3, and then you come back into this view, and then you have the 1 card Fireball 3, and then you can slot that in. Like that kind of, like having that kind of separation. Am I talking to an AI? I don't know. Sorry if I think you're an AI. Sorry. Because yeah, obviously we're gonna have pausing in the game. It's not like I'm not gonna let you pause or not pause. Yeah, sorry. The response was just very AI sounding. My bad. Oh, use translate. Okay. Sorry. So maybe there is potential in that idea. Where like you can press this like select button or something. Right. But maybe there's an opportunity then, because like I want this isometric view, and ideally, because right now the left and right trigger is what's determining you know, uh, the card selection, but in the end, I don't really want that. So I'm thinking it will be like the right stick, and so we would have a kind of a static camera you can't really move, and you would use the left and right on that thumbstick to manipulate the cards. And so yeah, in this alternative menu, you know, you'll kind of have your cards kind of splayed out. You could still interact with them, and then at that point, you would more or less combine them in a way where you could take your time and kind of read through the cards and study the cards a bit, and then kind of go back in and you'll do that. I mean, that it was original. It was an idea that we were playing with, me and a friend. But I kind of went against it because I wasn't sure how I felt about that, like kind of pause, like stop and pause and jump back in and stop and pause and stuff like that. I would also have to figure out how we prevent, you know, damage over time and stuff from executing while you're in this kind of mode. But I think the game should pause in that sense then. So I think I think like you should be able to combine cards. You can either choose to combine them or you can choose to stack them. So if you choose to stack them, you can get like multiple instances, versus if you decide to combine them, you get the kind of upgraded level. Yeah, so do you think if after 5 level ups you can upgrade only one card at a time and the game stops at that point and you can choose one game and one card? I don't know. Because that also kind of reminds me of like games like Mega Bonk. You know, you kind of unlock these things, the game pops up, it gives you your upgrade options. You could choose which ones to kind of upgrade or take whatever upgrade you want and then go back into the game. I know you mean one card upgrade. Yeah. I'm trying to think what makes the most sense. Because, like, that's a good point. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good point. Like, either every 5 level ups, or like, again, it depends on what my outer loop is going to be. Like, if it's just going to be a set of waves of enemies against a certain NPC, after each wave you can upgrade, or after every round, you know, after each boss or whatever, you can upgrade a card, maybe, or some other currency again to upgrade the card. But I also have to figure out, like, on top of stacking, like, if you were to combine cards, how does that resolve? Do you have to pair level 1s with level 1s, or can you go a pair a level 1 and a level 2? To get a level 3, or can you do 3 level 1s, 2 level 2s? And maybe that can also just be some cards. But also, yeah, maybe most cards should be able to do that. And if we do treat them as kind of separate cards, then yeah, I'll have to update my card info architecture. Because I would need to have some sort of reference. To like what the upgrade would be, like within the level 1 card data. So let's just assume this is level 1, right? I would need to have, some information as to what the upgrade is. But personally, I believe that the lower card's level, the less it could be upgraded. For example, to upgrade a level 2 Fireball, you need 4 level 1 cards. So, like, to me, that's also potentially problematic. Because again, there's 2 layers to this game. There's the real-time combat where you're just activating the cards, slotting them in, and using the cards. Then, outside of combat, there is then these deck building mechanics. So within the aspect of the deck building mechanics, maybe it's what you're saying, where you can combine X amount of level 1 cards to create a permanent level 2 Fireball that gets added into the deck. Whereas in the real-time aspect of the gameplay, you can combine 2 level 1 cards to temporarily give you a level 2 Fireball card. And then when you do that, you then discard the level 1s into your graveyard, you have the level 2s slotted in, and then when the level 2 is over and removed, it doesn't get put back into your graveyard. So then you lose it. But again, during the main combat aspects, I think it's better to make it a little bit more cheap for players to be able to do that on the fly. And then if they just want to permanently create a level 2 Fireball card outside of combat in the deck building, deck maintenance, card shop, card trading area, that's where you could alternatively take 4 level 1 Fireball cards, combine them into a level 2, so then you lose those 4 permanently in favor of getting the level 2 permanently. So maybe that's how that could work. But again, in real time, I don't think it should be that expensive. Because we also have to start thinking about, because we have these card resources on the right-hand side. These circles, those are the cost of the cards. Right now I gave myself, free cards, whatever, but when I activate this card now, I lose those resources, but now I can't activate any of the other cards because I don't have enough, So part of that too, something crashed. Oh, well, I found, that's good to know, but yeah, we gotta do this. In that case, but again, you're making a solid point. I agree with you, but if you make it easy in runtime, for example, it will be easier to use a higher level fireball, and this is due to a problem, in my opinion, with other cards. So again, it also is like the luck of the draw of the deck itself, whether or not you'll get the right cards to be able to combine them at runtime anyway. So I don't think it's necessarily an issue. So let's say, for example, that any card in the squad is good, but I can upgrade it to level 2 in combat, so its effectiveness will be less. Level 1 will be even less effective. I don't understand what you mean by that. Because like, if the upgrades are meaningful, then how would a level 2's effectiveness be less? Like, obviously, yes, level 1s will be less effective on their own, but we also have to think about how the game will kind of progress over time. So like level 1s on their own will have their place, because level 1s will have low cost with some benefit, and then they could be upgraded when combined at runtime for cheap. But when they become a level 2, you know, you get the card, but then it costs more to activate. Alternatively, you could stack the level 1s in the same ability slot. So you can have, so rather than having, like, because also cost and economy is going to have to come into play here a little bit as well. But, you know, for example, like for the cost of like 3, so you can stack up to 3, but you get 1, 2, and 3, right? So is it worth doing that for the cost of, you know, 3-card resource at that moment in time? Or is it better to combine them into a level 2 card, which has a higher cost? Can you afford that cost at the moment? Things like that. And like, what's the payoff? So, no, the problems with translation. I mean, level 2 in combat is relatively easy to use, while level 1 is much less effective than level 2, even though it's easier to use. So I'm not sure what you even mean by easier to use. I guess it's another question. Like when you say easier to use, I mean just because there's a process of combining cards to unlock the level 2? It's like maybe because well, I'm also thinking, you know, I'm not sure. Like again, like if the max we go is level 3, like if I have 3 of these available, can I just combine them for free? Because I'm worried about creating this pause menu in between. Like obviously, yes, we're gonna have pause, but like this like buffer time window. Like I wonder if I can somehow in the UI detect when I have the same card in there, and then just prompt it to combine. But then a concern comes if I have, you know, say for example, 3 level 1s become a level 3. It's difficult to interact and I don't speak English very well. I'm sorry, but I appreciate the feedback and the thoughts you're putting in. But yeah, like if it takes 3 level 1s to create a level 3, what happens if I have 4 level 1s in my hand? Will it prompt to make a level 3 and then keep one out, or can I somehow make it prompt to do 2 level 2s? Whatever. I never want to do anything kind of automatically. No. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. So all these are valid ideas, don't get me wrong. Trying to think what makes the most sense. Like what's simple? Honestly, yeah, 3 levels. At runtime combination of cards versus permanent upgrade combination of cards. Because again, I want there to be like a collector's aspect to it. Like, I want you to be able to find cards, get packs, and get duplicates, and have those duplicates have some meaningful purpose. And what you're suggesting is a pretty meaningful purpose. So, like, as you get more and more complicated cards and more interesting cards, maybe it takes more cards to permanently upgrade it in that sense. So yeah, let's say you can use any card available in runtime without leveling it up. Yep, that's the base functionality right now. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'll wait for your thing here. So then at each point, for example, after you finish the wave of monsters, you can upgrade the cards. So that part is fine. Like, it makes sense. Again, I don't know if it's going to be based off waves or whatever, but yes, either some time interval or through some currency, yes, you can upgrade a card. Yeah. And this would be a permanent upgrade, I'm assuming, to that card. That card then becomes a permanent level 2 added to the deck if you wanted it. Infinite jump glitch. So yeah, again, it's just about like either temporary kind of combining of cards, either like again 2 level 2s or level 1s, and then those can stack into the same ability slot because they're the same level. I think is part of the problem. It's like, again, I guess the potential confusion here, at least from what my friend said yesterday, is just like having 2 separate leveled cards in the same slot and knowing which order you put them in is a little convoluted. So I want to say, so each active ability card can have an evolution leveling tree. Some cards have 3 levels, others, or some cards have up to level 3, others level 2. Maybe some cards have mega variations, aka level 4. I'll put that as a separate sticky note because I don't really care. I do care. Hold on. If I am the dev, I will stop at this stage as story development is not a priority right now. First, I need to build a full concept for it, then I can really adjust and develop the story later. I mean, I'm not really doing much with the story right now. These are all just mechanics. Like I'm wanting to figure out the meat and potatoes of active cards, and that will help kind of understand how passive cards would work, and then the other types of cards will hopefully fall in place. Probably won't, but that's the thing. So cards at different levels, and will have different names. What's the thing? So there's Fyra, Fyra, Fyra. I mean, for example, if you have a game with a clear path, you can modify it to suit you. Sure. I think I have a clear path. Probably doesn't sound like I have a clear path, but I know the direction I want to go in is with these cards and have this deck building mechanics, and you just kind of slot in these active and passive slots and these instant ability cards to kind of evolve your character over time in order to defeat more enemies, stronger enemies, and then the overall AI that you're fighting also run by someone who's playing cards that can counteract your cards. So yeah, figuring out these levels, I think this is like a very important thing to figure out. We got a lot of interesting points in here, so I appreciate the feedback and the help there. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Lep. I appreciate all the feedback and the discussions. Is all very much appreciated. So enjoy your night. Thanks for stopping in. Bye. So I think I got a good amount of stuff to think about. I'll need to run this by my friend, see what she thinks. I'll have to see if she's available sometime soon. We got a cute little kitty in the basket. Gameplay. Or during action gameplay. And then I would say, so during deck management gameplay, started the same, say, but this upgraded card is temporary. Is discarded after it's been slotted into an active ability slot. Cards used to upgrade into that card are added to the graveyard. So cards of the same type and level can be combined permanently into an upgraded version. So the cards used to upgrade are permanently destroyed from the player's deck binder. Upgraded card is permanently available to the player. Card combination values differ. It should take more cards of the same type and level to make an efficient upgrade. Okay, I need to think about this a bit more. So while I'm working on that design, I wonder if I can work on other mechanics. So I definitely want to lock in the perspective first and foremost. I don't want to be able to manipulate the camera. I also have to remove like collision tests and stuff like that. And then I want to move the card manipulation from left trigger, right trigger to just right thumbstick at that point. So I think that's what we'll do. Because right now, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. And I for sure want to hopefully beat that fucking boss on Nine Souls. And then after I'm done with Nine Souls, I definitely want to do another live stream where I kind of break down the mechanics of the games I'm playing and try to what's the word? Like I want to dissect the games from a design lens, just to see how they function, why they work the way they do, what I liked, what I didn't like, and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll probably do that soon, hopefully. So yeah, probably on Thursday when we do a stream, we'll start working on the other mechanics. In the meanwhile, while I still try to workshop on the design of the active ability cards. Just because, yeah, there's still some questions I want to get affirmation for from other devs, and then do a next iteration of those mechanics. So things I need to additionally figure out. I want to say, how do we combine cards during action gameplay? Can we effectively do this while preserving the action game state? Or do we have to provide an additional UI layer, game pause, that allows players to combine, examine, take a break? Favorite to think, strategy, etc. Seems like we're gonna lean towards like this part of it. So players could alternatively say, hey, I can either stack this 3 times, or enter this menu and combine the cards. So yeah, I wanna get thoughts on that, because I don't know how it would effectively work in this space, you know. Like, would the cards on the bottom right kind of show these and just automatically try to combine them all into one level 3? Because like, what if you wanted just to combine into a level 2 and keep that other one as a level 1 for whatever reason? Ow, my cat's biting me. Ow, poop. Ow. So yeah, I think it'll probably make more sense to do it in that separate UI layer. So I'll get back to that soon, but yeah, until then, yeah, we'll work on some other mechanics, like, you know, this hold attack, you know. Maybe try to figure out some camera logic. But yeah, we'll see. I'll have to reevaluate like a game like Hades 2, for example. Just look at the camera. It's like, do we want the camera to like be following the player all the time on a spring arm? Or do we want to allow like some dead zone movement? A lot of options there. So a lot of stuff still on the gameplay level. Like, I still want to figure out this charge mechanic as like a kind of a builder spender kind of thing, where like as you're dealing damage, you're gaining charges, and you can use these charges for blocking. You know, you can generate a shield. You can deflect. I definitely think that needs to be faster too. Since we only have a couple minutes left, let's just fuck around with a few assets. With the blocking, for example. Block. And that effectively double. Does that look weird? No? Probably could be faster too. What does 3 times look like? Yep. Bam. And maybe I could just generate a shield. If you have like enough resource and stuff. Like resource charge. And then I don't know if we would have effectively want a parry. Not sure. Then we also have to add blocking locomotion. So yeah, let me come up with a list for next time. Dashboard, right? Oh yeah. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if it's whiteboard. Oh. Task for streams. There's a kitty. How you doing, boo boo? Yeah, because we're the task, right? Bam. So we're gonna say remove camera manipulation control and use right thumbstick for card navigation. Okay, so design, builder, spender, mechanics for base, heavy, charged, melee, and defensive. Yeah, like, and I guess we can also add like blocking locomotion because I think we have the assets for it, so maybe it'll be worth adding the assets for it while we're still working on the high level design of the cards. So. I would also say move heavy charged melee to hold X, Y, And then also introduce bow secondary. Press Y, hold 1. A good amount of stuff to do next time while we figure out this design. And I'll probably propose this design on Discord as well for other people to give feedback. Probably do that later tomorrow or something like that. Just get more eyes on the concept. So that's where I'm going to end it for today, I think. So thank you so much for watching. It's all very much appreciated. If you aren't already following here on Twitch, make sure to follow. If you aren't already subscribed there on YouTube, make sure to give a sub. Again, join our Discord, hang out, all good. Learn, create, help each other. We'll be back on Thursday to start on this list. In the meantime, definitely check out the Discord. We'll see if we can workshop some of these ideas as well and make some progress there. But yeah, in the meantime, the game doesn't stop being made from there. So enjoy your night. Have a good remaining rest of your week. I'll see you on Thursday, and see you later.